given that they've had a real philosophical change offensively?
I think you still look at it because there's still some components of what they did last year they're still doing. It's not a complete new offense. So I think that it's like anything. You take bits and pieces of things that they've done in the past, things they did last year, things they've done in the past, things that maybe from the new guys that have come in, that you're going to see. So I just think it's a combination of all of that to develop your game plan.
How much is Joe Burrow changed though under Joe Brady's guidance, and he seems to be at a whole nother level?
Yeah, I think their offense as a whole is executing well, meaning that the line's doing a good job in protection. He feels pretty clean in the pocket. You got some really talented receivers that can make plays. He's a very competitive guy, understands where to throw the ball, does a really good job of staying in the pocket, keeping his eyes downfield on his target, and he can go to the second and third progression, which makes it a challenge when a quarterback can do that.
Todd, I know you guys always pride yourself on being multiple and kind of versatile, able to do different things defensively. How much more versatile, I guess, do you feel with this group this year compared to even maybe last year?
Yeah, I mean, we can develop new packages as we move forward through the season relative to who we have available and who we're playing. So that'll kind of be game to game. I'm pretty comfortable with the package and the guys that we have now because we have a lot of guys playing a lot of different spots. I actually think we had maybe between 20 and 22 guys make tackles on defense in the last Saturday's game. So we're playing a lot of players. So we'll continue to develop those packages, and as we move forward, if we think we need to add something, we will.
Kyrie and Moon, go ahead.
How much is your ability to get pressure with four linemen really kind of?
Anytime you can get pressure with four guys, it's a good thing, and then you just try to mix it up, to be able to make quarterbacks. I don't think you can be one-dimensional on anything because that allows guys to understand what you're doing. So anytime you can just make it uneasy on those guys that are throwing the ball, I think that's good.
Kyrie and Moon were saying that as opposed to Auburn, who did more motions and shifts, LSU, you line up that you know what they're going to do, they just dare you to beat them. Does that make it harder or easier?
No, it's a little different. Is they have conversions within the play. They can convert routes relative to your leverage and things like that. The quarterback's reads are a little more developed than last week. So that part of it's a challenge. So they're kind of changing as the play goes on, whereas last week the changes occurred more, pre-snap. And both offenses are effective, but this one is a little more challenging from the standpoint of the passing game. And you have an effective quarterback that knows where to throw the ball, and you got good skill guys, so we got to play well.
Does being able to move where that fourth rusher comes from help make it look a little more exotic than
no
maybe
doubt.
it is?
I mean, I was with Peyton Manning for 3 years, and he never could beat the Patriots for a long time. And I'd sit there and practice and watch, and he never could figure out where the fourth rusher was coming from, and it really bothered him, But when we played four-down teams, he'd start dialing it up and could tell the scout team, you're wrong, you should be here, you should be there. And he knew pre-snap where to go with the ball. So once I saw that, I was pretty sold on what you needed to do.
But does that only work when you have guys who can win those
one-on-one
matchups?
Yeah, it still gets down to most teams offensively, you're just not going to get a guy free. You're still trying to get the one-on-one matchups in the rush. So anytime you have good players rushing like we have, that allows them to maybe get a little bit more on the edge of a guy or get a little bit ahead of the guy to allow them to be effective in their rush to get the pressure. And then the other thing with the rush is the coverage. We've got some good guys in the back end that are creating tight coverage because a lot of times guys won't throw the ball and there's tight coverage, they'll hold it. And so when they hold the ball and you have good rush, it really becomes, a team thing because the coverage is allowing us to get the sacks too. Like when Bo got the minus 20 some yard, that was really a coverage sack.
Right.
And really the secondary did a good job of kind of showing one thing.
Because only one guy got through, and then the two
right.
guys on the edge
and then
had time.
And if you go back and look, it was really the coverage and the look, and he kind of locked in on a certain side, and we kind of took that away, and there's nowhere to throw the ball, and guys kept coming. So I think it's a combination of relentless effort in your rush. Do have some guys that can win the one-on-ones, but then the back-end coverage of being able to play tight.
Have you changed through the years in terms of how much you want to bring more than four, or is it just a function of who you have physically?
It's a function of winning the down. It's really based upon what do we got to do to win the game, and that's really more than anything.
Are there particular guys that give you the flexibility to do that?
as rushers go. Well, I think that when you look at obviously John Gennard, Jeremiah Moon, Zuniga's a guy that can give us that rush, and he can do it inside outside. John could do it inside outside as well. Dunlap's a guy that's played for us. Zach Carter. I mean, we play a lot of guys up front in that, so I think all of those guys bring a little something different to the table. The bigger guys bring a little more push to pocket, which has an effect, whereas Zoo and John and Moon are a little bit more edgy and on the edge of the guys. So what you try to do is you just try to combine those guys to give you the best pocket collapse you can to be effective.
What's been the key to you guys' red zone defense and sudden change defense?
I think the sudden change defense is, I think the biggest thing there is we actually have that as a part of our game plan. We always say go put the fire out, and that's part of our don't flinch. You always see the don't flinch and all that kind of stuff, and whatever situation comes up, don't flinch. Go, whatever situation you're dealt with, go make a play and go handle the situation. And we always talk about putting the fire out. So I think that guys have embraced that and have accepted the challenge on that. And then as far as red zone, I think guys understand we're pretty consistent in our play as far as what we do there. And guys understand who they're working with, and the communication's really good to allow us to get, guys in spots to bracket and do those kind of things.
When you look at like what the things you want to see statistically after a game, where do those categories rank?
Well, you always talk to guys about being +1 in turnovers. So, and the reason I do that is because I think that you have to do it from a team standpoint of +1, because if you're +1, you're probably going to win 90% of your games. Well, if they get 1, we got to get 2. If they get 2, we got to get 3. I mean, if they don't get any, we just got to get 1. So whatever it is, you got to get +1. And then from a situational standpoint, how many points can you take off the field? Meaning, if you can hold them to a minimum of a field goal, well, if our offense goes down twice and scores touchdowns, they get 14, and we hold them to field goals and it's 6, it's 14-6. So I think our guys understand the value of situational football, and they've done a good job of preparing and working to be effective.
You guys were obviously really clean last week. I think you only had like 1 or 2 busts. Well,
Yeah, we had one bust. How'd you like that one?
What went wrong on that play?
Huh?
What went wrong on that one play?
We didn't run it as designed.
CJ's supposed to be
We
a
saw.
man.
Huh?
CJ's supposed to be a man.
It could be a multitude of guys, but it wasn't. That isn't the way it's drawn up in the book. So.
Well, with that said, you have one bust, but also no penalties defensively. Which one's more important? I mean, which one's more pleasing for you, I guess?
Well, it depends. I mean, I'll take a 5-yard offsides and not give up that big play. So it kind of depends on that. But as a general rule, we don't want to give up. We don't want to give up first downs with penalties or easy access yards that way. So we do want to play clean. But being clean in both of those areas is a good thing. I always talk about making them earn it and go the long, hard way. And if you do that and don't give up explosive plays, you have a chance to be hard to score on. And that's really what's kind of happened this year.